It's never fun when your mother-in-law says, hey, you know what, I'm coming over, and doesn't really give you a way to say no.
It's always the mother-in-law, isn't it? We're always dealing with the mother-in-law.
No matter what, maybe you had a baby, maybe you survived a hurricane, nothing will stop mother-in-law.
My crazy family. My crazy family.
Welcome to the program. Be sure to subscribe to our channel on Apple Podcasts. The My Crazy Family Plus gives you access to everything, all ad-free, including advanced episodes of the show for you to binge away on right now. And hey, leave us a review there on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get podcasts. Send us a screenshot. Send it to contest at crazyfampod.com, and we'll get you into a drawing for a $500 Amazon gift card that will be given out closer towards the end of the year. And of course, if you have a crazy family story, we would like to hear it, wouldn't we?
Yeah, please. We would love to hear your stories. Send them to crazyfampod.com, or you can give us a call at 1-833-CRAY-FAM. That's 1-833-272-9326 to tell us how crazy your family is.
Yeah, crazyfampod.com. Right there, there's a form. You just fill it out, send the story, it gets to us, and we may use it on a future episode of the program. It's Tony and Stacey Cole with you on today's episode of the show. What's going on?
Our first story, a quick background. All of my family, they're specialists in top fields such as accounting, medicine, etc., except for me. I find more satisfaction in working for myself, and you can imagine how that's made me look in the eyes of my overachieving family. I told my whole family, including my mom, that this is what I want to do, and the traditional path is not for me. My brother just graduated from college, and I'm so happy for him. As I was praising him, my mom said, "You can also do the same." She then went on to say, "This is what I've been wanting you to do as well." I get it. First generation parents only see university as a success, but my God, have I mentioned it countless times to them that this is not the path that I want to take. I have said this to her so many times. College is not for me, but somehow it's always been used against me whenever someone else achieves something in that sphere. This has happened so many times, by the way. This is my crazy family. You're nothing if you don't go to college.
That's a lot of families. A lot of families
have
that
outlook.
Isn't it? And I've always hated that outlook. It was drilled into many generations of, you have to go to college, you have to go to college. And when my parents would have gone, it was actually affordable. It was something that could be done realistically. And then when it got to us around the late 90s, early 2000s, it got crazy expensive. And either you had parents that could pay for it, or you're going to be in loans for the rest of your life. Yeah. And also it was like, well, what's the path here? Well, you got to first take 3 or 2 years of all these courses that have nothing to do with what you actually want to do. And then after we've, bilked you for that money, if you're still here, then you can kind of go into areas that maybe you want to get into. But if you want to do anything there, then you got to go for another 4 years to kind of get that master's. And then after that, then it's like, really? I mean, and I get for some paths like medicine. Yeah, definitely. If that's your passion, sorry, that's the road you got to take. But it's not for everyone. And I wish the world would look at that better. I think we're getting better at that, because I think the world has finally realized what a fucking scam of a system the college education system is, for just taking money from people and really not giving much in exchange. And I hope we go back to looking more at trades and things of that nature, because so many people would be so better in that and make so much more money in that. Because we always, trades, you don't make any money. Yes, if you're just working for someone in the entry-level position, you're right. You probably don't. But you know what? If you do well and you got a fucking head on your shoulders, you can own a business and make buku bucks. Far more than what the college path may would have been. And you know what? You don't have the fucking $150,000 in loans for the rest of your life, too. So.
Absolutely. And if you take a look at the trade schools, the things that you can learn there, welding, plumbing, HVAC. I mean, there's so many different things that have high demand. And if you know how to do these things well, you will work every day that you want to work, and you'll earn a shit ton of money.
Exactly. But that was never presented like that. It was just always, it's, you don't want to make minimum wage doing HVAC. You know what? The guy who I hired for my HVAC, he's not making minimum wage. He's making damn near $100 an hour. So I don't know why that was always, pushed at us. The same could be said of a college degree too. You get your college degree. Guess what? You're going to have to start somewhere then too. And you're going to be making low money and you have a massive amount of debt. And you better hope you like that job you got the education in so you can pay back that debt. Because if you don't, you're really fucked. I don't know. I just always thought it was a racket. And I thought, I'm going to use those years of college to just kind of get my career going and I'll be further ahead. And it worked.
And it totally worked. You're talking to somebody in this podcast that I have one of the most ridiculous degrees you've ever fucking heard of. I have a liberal arts degree from Hamline University, and I majored in religion because I was told back in the 80s that, hey, a liberal arts degree, it doesn't matter what you major in. You just need the degree and then you're going to go places. What the fuck?
In religion.
Oh my God.
So what exactly was the game plan there with using the religious degree?
Well, I was going, believe it or not, my whole world revolved around veterinary medicine, but I was aiming toward pharmacy school. And I was told that because I had average science grades, I didn't stand out. I was just very average. If I had a very unusual degree, like religion or philosophy or ethics, I would stand out to the admissions committee. I wouldn't just be somebody who had chemistry and biology. I had this weird liberal arts thing where they'd be like, ooh, we need to bring her in for an interview. And being who I was, I knew I could ace the interview and get in.
Yeah.
I didn't apply. I got to the end of college and went, I don't want to be a pharmacist. What the fuck? $80,000 later, and this is back in the 80s.
Sure.
I just kind of sat there and went, I don't know what the hell to do with myself. I don't want to be a pharmacist. I don't want to go through that. I didn't have what I needed to get into veterinary school. And so I looked to radio. I had family members who were in broadcasting in Minnesota. And I thought, well, if these guys with these really deep voices can do it, so can I.
Sure.
And so I went off and I went to a vocational school, Brown Institute in Minnesota, and got my broadcast degree, which was more money. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was something. I went into radio.
Which also is a joke and a half, too, because you don't need that to get into radio.
No, and you're proof you don't need it.
No, it's just go, I'd like to work here. And then you start working your way up. Because even if you have the degree, I remember hiring people that had that. And that was like all the experience they had with getting resumes in. Those were the ones I usually tossed. Because
no.
I did because they did no real world. You had experience though. And you were there before I was there. But when those sort of things came in and it's like, well, what's your experience? Well, I went to college. Okay. Well, where have you worked? Well, at the college station.
Nowhere.
Thank you. And back then,
Bye-bye.
there was a lot of qualified people for jobs, but today, I guess there isn't. But yeah, back it was like I just didn't even look at. I didn't even call them half the time because they weren't good. And college radio didn't teach anybody anything about modern broadcasting. So it was like it was another racket, another one where it was like, why? So many things, so many ways that to dupe young people into spending exorbitant amounts of money when it's really not going to be a beneficial path for you. And there's clearly easier paths over here, but it's hard to see when everybody's like, no, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. No, you don't. You really don't.
Well, Tony, do you know how I got my first job in radio?
How?
I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and this was back, I'm going to age myself here, but this was back before the internet. So I had a sheet that I had acquired on my own. This is all my doing. And it listed all of the radio stations in the upper Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did is I scanned, like, where would I want to go?
Yeah.
Okay, grab that one. Here's their phone number. And I knew the morning show was coming in about 5 a.m. is when morning shows kick off.
Yeah.
So at 4:59, I called the station. 4:59 a.m. And I called, was it KFGO up in Fargo, North Dakota?
Okay.
And I got a hold of their morning show. And I said, hey, I'm at Brown Institute. I'm almost done. And I'm looking for my first gig. And they're like, what are you doing up so early? And I said, I want to work. And they were like, whoa, what's going on? And so we started chatting because they're not totally doing their show just yet.
Yeah.
And we hit it off. And they're like, yeah, we want to talk to you. Come on up. That's how I got into radio. I didn't need the Brown Institute. I just needed, hey, here's how you get a fucking job.
That's and that's the reality of so many things where it's like, just show a little motivation, show that you have some interest and passion in it. And if you're the decision maker, you're going to be like, holy shit. Because it's not just somebody with a piece of paper that's like, hi, I'm applying to 50 different places. Yeah, I mean, that's, and to find motivation and passion for anything is difficult. Yeah, it's crazy. So to this person, just, continue soldiering on and fuck them. They're going to have their views and everything. But if unless you need a degree for what you do not waste your fucking time in college. And again, like I said, there's plenty of things that require it and you need it and you should be educated in it. Medicine comes to mind. But yes, there are other things too. Although half the time I feel like I have to hold the hand of my doctor as well, where it's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Well, we could look at this. Okay, great. I'm sad I had to like really kind of nudge you along to go down that path. But it's it's not for everyone. So just keep going and ignore the fucking naysayers and this or that, and do your thing and be the best you can at whatever it is you do. And you may very soon discover in time, once kind of the dust settles and everyone's, they got their degrees and everybody's been working for a little bit in time, that you, the one with the passion that has their own path, may be further ahead. If you find your passion and you follow it. I'm not saying if you're just sitting there fucking playing video games all day and saying, I don't like college, you're going to do shit. But although people found a way to make money at that now too. But if there is something that you are passionate about, follow that. And you may be very, very surprised.
Absolutely. And speaking of college, our next story.
Yeah.
Jesus. This story is just beautiful. It's horribly tragic. It's, and the headline is, my mom is more concerned with me missing my labs and exam in class than the active shooter currently on our campus. And the person, this is just great. They sent in the text message between themselves and their mom. And this is from mom. Are you on lockdown? It says, well, the professor is saying, please don't leave, but the door to our classroom doesn't lock. Mom replies, stay put for a while. And then this person says, I emailed my lab TA in case I missed my practical. Well, hopefully you won't. I would say pray and walk super fast to class, stay close to buildings and others, make yourself less of a target. Maybe you can get tutoring from professors if you stay a little while. and the person responds, is this a joke? Is my grade more important to you than my life? Jesus, Mom.
Honey, just, stay close to the buildings. And if you see the shooter, flash him. Use those breasts. Let them see what you have. And they probably won't shoot at you, although they may use nipples as a target. Oh, shit, I didn't think that one through. That's,
oh, my God.
That's, it's
somewhere in there. It should be, oh, my God, honey, I'm so scared for you. I'm saying a prayer. Keep yourself safe, blah, blah, blah.
Barricade yourself in the building. It's not stay close to walls.
Walk fast. Super fast to class.
My prayer will carry you along as you put yourself in danger.
Just so you can take your lab practical.
Yeah. I think they'll understand, considering there's an active shooter alert. They usually have some grace for that.
Well, I would think they're not just going to go ahead with the lab practical either. I don't care if it's a fucking medical school and this is the end of the year. And no, they're going to say, we're shutting this shit down. Get under the desk.
Yeah.
What kind of a parent is that?
I don't know. A delusional one. I don't know. I don't even know what to make of that.
Have you ever been in a active shooter situation?
No, I have not. And I'm thankful for it. And all that stuff, Columbine happened when I was in high school. And it was like towards the end of my high school career. And I remember them being like trying to figure out what to do. How do we, prevent more of this sort of stuff? So they made one entrance, and then all the goth kids started wearing more goth shit to scare people even more. Right. And we couldn't tell people to, have a dress code, or we can't do that because that's a bridge too far. We're just going to do everything that doesn't really do anything, and, not take any notice at the mental health problems that clearly a lot of these students have. But luckily, no. I did encounter a hit list and reported and got a copy of it because I was kind of friends with one of the gothy kids. I was like friends with everybody. And the one person knew I was in media, and he's like, this is kind of fucked up, but so-and-so made this. And they snuck it to me. And then I got a copy, and I went and I went to the principal, and I said, I obtained this. Very professional. I obtained this. And I said, you got to look at this. And they brushed it away. They did nothing about it. They didn't. And then I went, by the end of the day, I went back and like, so, what's your plan? Well, we don't view it's credible. The kid's still there. I see them in the halls. And these are people like I really thought were likely to do something. I'm like, are you serious? You're not going to do anything? No. Well, I talked to him a lot, and I think he's fine. I said, okay, well, I'll take this. I'll take this to my newsroom. You'll hear about it at 5:00 on the news. Thanks. You what? I just walked away. 5:00 news. It's the headline. It's the main.
Did you really do it?
Yes. It was the 5:00 news on our station. Gave it to my news director. He started calling around the school board, and he started calling around to the principal. And then they had to suddenly change their tune because we started reporting on it. So,
wow.
Yeah. But no, I've never.
You saved lives.
I don't know. But I mean, it was just the ignorance of that principal that I felt someone needed to fucking do something. So we stopped, and they did something. I think they removed the kid, or I don't know what the fuck happened, but otherwise nothing was going to happen. But we never did like shooter lockdown drills. That I think started a few years after that. I'm horrified that exists today. It needs to exist today, but I'm horrified that my daughter has been in school where they actually, do a drill of what do we do if someone's invading the school with a weapon. And some of the asinine ideas that have been like practiced or their ideas of how to combat these sort of things have utterly baffled me. And I'm happy she's not in school anymore in a setting like that. She's doing online homeschool. It's because she wants to. It's not me saying you are out of fear or anything. She just does better that way. But it's certainly something I'm glad I don't have to worry about, because that you almost inevitably there's going to be a day where there's a fucking lockdown and there's a rumor at least of an active shooter on your campus. And I can't imagine. I mean, I had anxiety as a kid. I can't imagine that being what I'd fucking deal with. And the worst thing, last day of school last year, it was the last day, beginning of summer, and there was a report of a man who had made threats against schools in the district, and they didn't know where he was, and they were trying to find him. And I just said, fuck it. And I went and picked her up early, and she was out. But the fact that I even had to do that was just like insane. So no, I have not been in the situation. That's my long-winded answer to your question. You?
Well, yeah, actually I have. It turned out at the end, 4 hours later, we found out it was a false alarm. Mm-hmm. But I was at a healthcare center in where I live. Mm-hmm. And I was doing rotations for my EMT license. And it was a healthcare facility. So we were basically just going around and doing vitals on people. And all of a sudden, all the gates start going down and people are like scattering everywhere. And one of the nurses came whipping by and said, we've got an active shooter. And we were all like, fuck. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was doing rotations at this place. I was new here. I had no idea what their protocols were. We didn't go over anything like that.
Yeah.
And I panicked, and I had my keys in my hand, and I'm in my uniform, and I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that popped into my head. And I saw a door, and like in the movies, I dove under the gate. I did an alligator roll under the gate as it's closing, and it brushed my hip. I mean, that's how close I was to it closing on me.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of the gate, and I went zipping out into the parking lot, and I'm zigzagging, like you do if an alligator is chasing you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to do. And I got into my car, and as I pulled out of the parking lot, the SWAT team is flying in. Like, they almost hit me. They were going so fast.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting the fuck out of there. Well, I left all of my classmates. They were locked in there for 4 hours, and I'm at home just trembling, shaking. Like, how did I get out of here? Oh my God, what have I done? I got out. Nobody else did.
Yeah.
And I was in touch with my instructor, and I'm like, I'm out, because he texted me and he said, what's going on? And I said, I'm at home. I got out of there, but the rest of the class, they're still there.
Mm-hmm.
And, our class was supposed to take place a couple hours later, and I did go to class, and the rest of the people, they're like, fuck it, we're not going to class tonight once they were released and everything.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a false alarm. Somebody thought they saw somebody with a gun, and it was just a whole debacle. But the fear that just takes over your whole body is immense.
It is. I mean,
it still bothers me.
I remember never actually having a drill or anything like that, but I remember, just being in such fear of that being a thing. And then it's just like every other week, the only like good thing that came out of COVID was the fact that we didn't have an active shooter at schools for about a year.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, yeah, funny. But I remember that. Speaking of that, that's kind of brought up another memory. We were talking earlier about parents and having like false memories that are not accurate. Another one that they bring up from time to time, and I'm always baffled by this one because it never happened, is that there was a report. They remember that time you jumped out of the window when they had a report of an active shooter at your school? Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? No. Yeah. There was that one time where they thought there was, but it wasn't. And you jumped out of the window and just got out of there. Huh?
So this never happened.
Never happened. And I wouldn't make that up. And I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. You told us that you jumped out of a window when there was that report, and then you just ran down to the radio station. No. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I think they're like conflating the time that I intercepted that letter and reported on it. And I don't, there never was an active shooter or drill or threat even the rest of that year in my school. So like I said, I've never been in that situation to do that. Like, has it run through my mind what I would do? Yes. And I think I've said that to them, like if there was a window or something and I knew I could get away, I'd jump through it and get the hell out of there. I've said that's what I would do. Never actually did it. Never been in a situation where I had to do it. But now in their mind, it's like, this happened to you and you did it. And that's the end of the story. It's like,
and it never happened.
It never happened. It's like a Mandela effect, a personal Mandela effect of my parents. And they think that this actually occurred. And I'm like, I don't know what, even I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And eventually, the only way to end that conversation is just to be like, must have happened. I must not remember. Because it just goes on.
I blocked it out, guys.
Yep.
I blocked it out.
Yeah.
Well, I remember in the radio studio that you and I worked in, if somebody decided they were going to come to the second floor and start shooting, our only exit was out of a window. I did think through that scenario that if I needed to get out of the window, there was a tree nearby that I could jump onto the tree and shimmy down it. Because if you were to jump, you're going to break your ankles or your wrists once you hit the ground. But we actually did have to think about that because we had some batshit crazy people working there.
Yeah, we did. There was really no protection. You could walk into that building and get to the studio in 2 seconds and no one's going to stop you.
Yeah, it was not locked. During business hours, anybody could come into that building at any time. And I think they've locked it down, since then. I don't know the answer to that.
Maybe they buzzed.
But you could get to the radio studios. Yeah.
They think they buzz people in now. Because I visited there last year for the first time in 20 years. And I think someone had to open the door for me. And it was during business hours.
Okay.
And I couldn't just walk in. But it's a glass door, too. So it's like if you're going to do what you're going to do, you can get through the glass door.
Yeah, if you're going to be one of those assholes, you'll get in.
Yeah. Now, I always thought there was bushes down there, wasn't there? I always thought the bushes would be an okay landing. It would hurt, but there's bushes.
Yeah, it would hurt tremendously. But you could, if you were thinking about it, you could also just push off a little bit and grab the tree.
Now, we should have done a
Not
drill
that
of
I
that.
ever thought about it.
We should have actually drilled that and had you demonstrate the ease of clinging to the tree after launching yourself out the window. Just see how well that works. Here, Stacy's going to demonstrate, and then we're all going to follow, and then we're gonna do a group picture.
Yeah. Yep. Oh my God. All right. Our next story. A couple weeks ago, my mother-in-law tried to overstay her welcome at our home because she knew I was having contractions and going to have the baby soon. If we knew she would stay and help our other children, we would have let her stay. But we know she wouldn't really help out much. So my husband called my father-in-law to come and get her. She was texting me for a week after that about when she could see the baby that I gave birth to 48 hours after she left. But the way she had reacted when we calmly asked her the first time was what made us tell her that she could wait a bit before seeing the baby. She waited until Sunday of the week to start asking again. We already told her no. She keeps forgetting we have just been through a hurricane this week. We have my cousin's kids staying at our house since she just had another baby, our newborn. Plus, we would want her to quarantine for 2 weeks because she works around people who are sick. We told her if she wasn't there to help out, then she wasn't going to stay with us and to find a hotel. She went quiet after that. Last night, my father-in-law called to say he had gotten into an argument with my mother-in-law because he found out that she was planning to surprise us and show up at our house for a mini holiday. Mother-in-law's sister called father-in-law to tell him the mother-in-law's plan. It seems she's adamant that no one can change her mind and she's in the right. But the more she acts like this, it's really starting to annoy me because it's obvious she doesn't care about anyone else's feelings. So she's going to show up no matter what. She didn't give a shit.
Narcissists get in those modes where it's like, I'm right. This is what I'm going to do. Everyone else is wrong. And I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them that this is right. And it never works out. And they kind of got to sink back into their hole and then pretend it never happened or change the subject or just get over it and everyone should be over it then. But I mean, she's literally, created a scenario in her mind which justifies it. She's going to surprise. Surprises are usually associated with fun and happy. And it's going to be a mini holiday. What could be wrong with a mini holiday surprise? Well, everything, really, unless you're the narcissist. And this is how they justify it in their minds. They tell themselves, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be a mini holiday. It could be this over and over and over and over. And then shows up, people kind of, they probably wouldn't kick her out, but they'd be uncomfortable. And she may realize that her little mini holiday surprise isn't all it is cracked up to be. But then here's the bonus. Here's the bonus when you're the narcissist mother-in-law. Then when you get put into that situation, guess what? That's a free ticket to sulking. And you can sulk and you can be bitchy and you can act like you're being put out and that everyone's just treating you like crap. And and it's all because you were just trying to help and you just wanted to see the baby. That's all. I just wanted to see the baby. Well,
oh my God. Yeah, that's the exact
exactly-
scenario that's going to happen.
That's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have that person crying
Yep.
when they're leaving. I'm sorry, I'm such a burden to you. I just wanted to do this. I just wanted to do that. Even though everyone told you beforehand that they didn't want you to do that would not be convenient at this time, that would not be beneficial to anybody at this time. Please respect our wishes. But you just bullshit. You just wanted to do whatever the fuck you wanted to do because that's pretty much your MO.
Yep. You know, these poor people, they've just had a baby. They just survived a hurricane. They got enough going on. You don't need to fucking show up like a clown at a birthday party.
Yeah. Because you know what they just wanted to do? Have a little peace and quiet as much as you can with a newborn after a hurricane and kind of get their shit together and just kind of regroup and get themselves mentally ready for continuing on with life. And they don't need you there right now. So...
it's one thing if they say, Mom, can you come and help us? We are overwhelmed right now. The hurricane, the baby, all of it. Can you please come help us? But they're not asking for that. They're asking you to not come.
Yeah.
God dang it.
But that would be respecting
too much.
others' wishes. There should be like a class that people have to go into at some point where it's called respecting others' wishes. and doing just that because it seems rampant with people that once a lot of people, I think once they reach a certain point in life, there's a level of entitledness because you've been through a lot of stuff. And that, there's a level of that is okay because you have more experience. You may have some things you can share and help others, but it doesn't mean you can just trample over everyone else's wishes. And that seems to happen more times than not.
I feel like there needs to be a mother-in-law course.
If you'd like to see the baby, you need to take the mother-in-law course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there's classes for parenting. Why wouldn't there be? There shouldn't be classes for being a mother-in-law or being a grandmother or whatnot. It's I don't know. They just be like, well, what's the curriculum? How's it being taught? What's the belief? And I don't know. They'll never get a narcissist to admit they're wrong. So,
no, you're right.
But wow. Well, it sounds like she didn't show up, but they caught her in the act.
Yeah, they did.
Although I'm sure there's probably more that's happened since this letter was written. So I do feel bad for them.
Yeah, we'd love to know more. Yeah, please tell us more.
My goodness. All right, that's going to wrap up today's episode of My Crazy Family. If you like the program, please press subscribe wherever you download podcasts. You can get commercial-free episodes of the show and our whole archive and advanced episodes on Apple Podcasts with the My Crazy Family Plus subscription. So do check that out. You can even try it for 3 days, absolutely free. Yes. Go to Apple Podcasts and click there. Try it for 3 days free. And I think you'll probably like it. And then you can keep binging and getting all the advanced stuff as we pump it out to you. And be sure to share your family story with us, your crazy family stories with us. Go to crazyfampod.com or call 833-CRAY-FAM. Until next time, for Stacy, I'm Tony. Thanks for listening to another episode of My Crazy Family.
My crazy
Crazy
family.
My
Crazy
Family.